When 70 armed lawmen surrounded Mercy Washington's cabin at dawn, demanding she surrender the wounded stranger inside, they saw only a lone black woman defying their authority. What they failed to recognize was that Mercy had spent 15 years as a battlefield nurse, saving lives while others took them. As the son of a powerful railroad magnate lay fevered in her care, clutching evidence of his father's murderous land-grabbing scheme, neither father nor lawman expected that this quiet healer would risk everything to protect the one person who could expose the truth. Dawn broke like a blade across the Arizona territory. 70 armed men formed a perfect circle around the small cabin, their badges catching the first light. Sheriff Kane's voice cut through the morning stillness. "Send out the Bradley boy, woman. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Inside, Mercy Washington pressed her back against the rough wooden door. Her fingers found the cold metal of her late husband's rifle. Through the single window she counted the torches. Too many. Thomas Bradley lay on her kitchen table, fever burning through him like wildfire. His lips moved without sound. Something about bodies, something about children in a canyon. The leather satchel sat open beside him. Maps scattered across her floor. Photographs she wished she'd never seen. "We know you have him," Kane called again. "Cornelius Bradley's boy went missing 3 days ago. You're harboring a kidnapped man." Mercy's jaw tightened. Kidnapped. The word tasted like ash. Thomas stirred, his eyes finding hers through the delirium. "The children," he whispered. "Pa said they had to go. All of them." Outside, someone struck a match. 3 days earlier, Mercy had been grinding sage in her mortar. The desert stretched endless in all directions from her small homestead. No neighbors for miles, just the way she preferred it. The gunshot echoed off the distant mesas. She looked up from her work. Sound carried strange in this country. Could have been a mile away. Could have been 10. The second shot came closer. Mercy set down her pestle. Through her window she saw dust rising on the eastern trail. A rider coming hard. Something wrong in the way he sat his horse. She reached for the rifle above her door. The horse stumbled into her yard without a rider. The man lay crumpled in the dirt 20 feet away. Blood soaked through his shirt. His breathing came shallow and quick. Mercy approached with the rifle ready. Young man, maybe 25. Expensive clothes torn and dusty. Good boots. Soft hands that had never worked a day. A leather satchel lay beside him, papers spilling out. Maps. Deeds. Things that made her stomach clench. The man's eyes opened. Blue as winter sky. "Please." His voice barely carried. "They're coming." Mercy looked toward the horizon. No dust, no riders. Yet. She made her choice. Getting him inside took all her strength. He drifted in and out of consciousness as she cleaned the wound. The bullet had passed through his shoulder. Clean. Lucky. While he slept, she examined the scattered papers. Railroad surveys, property transfers, photographs that made her hands shake, bodies in shallow graves, men, women, children, native faces, black faces, people she might have known. Each photograph bore a neat notation in careful handwriting. Location, date, number of casualties. Devil's Canyon, March 15th. 7 souls, Willow Creek, April 2nd, 12 souls, Bitter Springs, April 20th, 9 souls. The handwriting matched the journal pages mixed among the photos. Detailed accounts of what the writer called clearing operations. Systematic murder dressed up in the language of progress and civilization. Mercy's hands found the expensive pocket watch that had fallen from the man's vest. Heavy gold, engraved. On the back, "To my beloved son Thomas, your devoted father C.B. C.B. Cornelius Bradley." Everyone in the territory knew that name. The railroad magnate, the man bringing progress to the frontier, the hero of expansion. Thomas Bradley stirred on her table. "Water," he croaked. Mercy held a cup to his lips, studied his face as he drank. "What's your name?" she asked. Nobody special. His eyes avoided hers. Just a drifter. The lie sat heavy between them. These your papers? Thomas went still. His gaze found the scattered photographs. Something broke behind his eyes. You shouldn't have seen those. Too late for that. He tried to sit up. Failed. You don't understand. If they find me here, if they know you've seen this. Who's they? My father's men. The truth slipped out before he could stop it. They've been hunting me for 2 days. Thomas closed his eyes. I thought I could gather enough evidence, thought I could stop him before. He gestured weakly at the photographs. Before more families disappeared. Mercy picked up one of the images. A woman about her own age. 3 children huddled close, all dead. How long has this been happening? Just not the way you hoped. The truth tasted like iron. All those months waiting for justice. All those nights believing someone cared enough to find answers. Kane filed a report, Thomas continued. Listed your husband as killed in an Apache raid. Case closed, file buried. You have that report? Copies in the leather portfolio, along with the real one. Mercy found the documents. 2 reports. One listing her husband as a victim of savage attack. The other identifying him as a witness, who'd seen too much. Her hands didn't shake as she read. Couldn't afford to shake. Samuel saw them dumping bodies in Devil's Canyon. She said, your husband tried to report it. Kane told my father. My father gave the order. And you documented that too. Every detail, every conversation, every payment. Thomas watched her face, waited for anger, for tears, for something. But Mercy had learned long ago that grief was a luxury she couldn't afford. Not on the battlefield, not in this territory, not with this much at stake. How many more are going to die? Railroads pushing west another 100 miles, maybe 50 more families in the path. All of them? All of them. The wind picked up outside. Dust devils danced across the hardpan. The land itself seemed restless. Your father know you're wounded? He's the one who ordered the shooting. His own son. Blood doesn't mean much when there's this much money involved. Mercy stood and walked to the window. The horizon stretched, empty in all directions. But emptiness could be deceiving. Riders could appear from nowhere. Death could arrive without warning. How long before he comes looking? Already looking. Question is whether he finds me before I heal enough to travel. Where would you go? Santa Fe. Find a federal marshal who isn't bought. Turn over the evidence, and then, Thomas was quiet for a long moment, then I testify against my father and probably get killed for it. You're willing to die for this? I'm willing to die to stop this. The distinction mattered. Mercy heard it in his voice. She turned back to the evidence spread across her table, all those faces, all those families, including her own. I could take the evidence to Santa Fe. You don't understand what you're asking. My father has people everywhere. You'd be dead before you reached the territorial line. Maybe, maybe not. It's not your fight. It became my fight when they killed my husband. Thomas met her eyes. You don't owe those people anything. I owe them everything, just like you do. Outside, a hawk circled high above the desert. Hunting, patient, waiting for the right moment to strike. There's something else, Thomas said. Something I haven't told you. Mercy waited. My father's not just coming for me. He's planning something big. A final push to clear the entire valley. When? Soon. Maybe days. How many people? Everyone between here and the Rio Grande. Every Apache band. Every black homesteader. Every Mexican family that won't sell. The scope of it took her breath away. Not just murder. Genocide. You have proof of this too? Orders, troop movements, supply requisitions, all in the satchel. Mercy felt the weight of it settling on her shoulders. Not just justice for the dead, prevention for the living. We need help. From who? Everyone with authority is either bought or dead. Then we find someone without authority. Thomas looked puzzled. The Apache know they're being framed? They just don't know by who. You want to ally with the tribes? I want to ally with anyone who's got skin in this game. The idea formed as she spoke. Dangerous. Probably foolish. But maybe their only chance. Chief Nalnish has been trying to prove his people's innocence for months. Give him evidence of who's really behind the killings. And then what? Then, we let him decide what justice looks like. The wind rattled the windows. Desert wind. The kind that carried change whether you wanted it or not. In the distance, a new dust cloud rose on the horizon. This one wasn't dissolving. The dust cloud resolved into a single rider. Sheriff Kane sat his horse like a man carrying the weight of the world. His badge caught the afternoon sun as he approached the cabin. Mercy met him at her door. Rifle in her hands but pointed down. Respectful distance between them. Afternoon, Mercy. Sheriff. Kane's eyes swept the yard, looking for signs, tracks, evidence of visitors. His gaze lingered on the bloodstain, in the dirt where Thomas had fallen. Heard there might be trouble out this way. What kind of trouble? Missing person. Young man, wounded. Might be dangerous. Mercy kept her expression neutral. Haven't seen anyone. Kane dismounted. Walked closer. His hand rested easy on his gun belt. Not threatening. Not yet. Mind if I look around? Depends what you're looking for. Just want to make sure you're safe. These are dangerous times. The words carried weight she hadn't heard before. Harmed. This became my business when your family killed my husband. The words carried across the desert air. Clear. Uncompromising. True. Some of the riders shifted in their saddles. Exchanged glances. Questions forming. Cornelius's face hardened. I don't know what my son has told you, but he's not well. Not thinking clearly. He's thinking clearly enough to document 43 murders. More shifting among the riders. Whispered conversations, the facade beginning to crack. Ma'am, you're harboring a fugitive, stand aside. I'm protecting a witness. Thomas appeared in the doorway behind her. Pale but steady, the leather satchel in his hands. Hello, Pa. Cornelius looked at his son. Saw the evidence, understood what it meant. Thomas, you've caused enough damage. Time to come home. This is about home, Pa. About what we've done to other people's homes. Thomas stepped forward, stood beside Mercy. United in purpose, if not in blood. I have evidence of every murder, every bribe, every lie. You have the fevered imaginings of a sick mind. I have photographs, payment records, signed orders. The riders grew restless. Some of the badges looked genuine. Men who'd signed on to serve justice, not subvert it. Cornelius raised his hand, the gesture of a man used to commanding armies. Thomas, last chance, come home. All is forgiven. What about them? Thomas gestured toward the evidence. Are they forgiven too? They were necessary sacrifices for the greater good. The words hung in the desert air, clear, unambiguous, damning. Some of the riders began backing their horses away, distance from what was coming. On the northern ridge, smoke rose against the evening sky, Apache signals, messages passing between the hills. The wind picked up. Dust swirled around the cabin, around the riders, around the moment when everything would change. Cornelius lowered his hand. Cornelius lowered his hand. The signal rippled through his men like wind through wheat. Weapons raised, hammers cocked. The desert held its breath. Then the hills came alive. Apache warriors rose from rocks and ravines where none had been visible moments before. 30, 40, silent as shadows, patient as death. They'd been watching, waiting, learning. Chief Nalnish stepped forward from the northern ridge. War paint streaked his face, but his hands held no weapons. Not yet. Cornelius Bradley, his voice carried across the desert. We have been waiting to meet you. The railroad magnate's confidence flickered. His hired army suddenly found themselves caught between forces they hadn't expected. "This is a family matter," Cornelius called back. "No concern of yours. You made it our concern when you murdered our children and blamed us for it." The words hit like thunder. Several of Cornelius's men looked at each other, questions forming, doubt creeping in. Thomas raised the leather satchel higher. "Everything's documented, Chief. Every murder, every frame job, every lie." Nalnish nodded. "We know. We have been gathering our own evidence." He gestured. Two warriors came forward carrying a wooden box. Inside, scalps. Trophies taken from the real killers during recent raids. "These belong to your men, Bradley. We took them from the ones who killed our families." Cornelius's jaw tightened. "Prove it." "Gladly." Nalnish opened Thomas's satchel, pulled out photographs, held them, high for all to see. "This is my nephew, my nephew's wife, their 3 children." His voice never wavered. "Your hired men killed them. Your son documented it. Your sheriff covered it up." Sheriff Kane shifted in his saddle, looked at the photographs, at his badge, at the choice before him. Some of Cornelius's men began lowering their weapons. Good men who'd been lied to, decent men who'd signed on to serve justice, not subvert it. "Stand fast," Cornelius ordered. "These are savages trying to confuse you." But the photographs spoke louder than his words. Clear evidence of systematic murder, of children killed in their sleep, of families massacred for railroad profits. Deputy Marshal Carson, a genuine lawman Cornelius had recruited from Santa Fe, rode forward. "Mr. Bradley, I need to see that evidence." "You'll see what I tell you to see." "Sir, with respect, that's not how the law works." Carson dismounted, walked toward Thomas and Mercy. His badge caught the setting sun. "Son, I need to examine those documents." Thomas handed over the satchel. Carson spread the contents on Mercy's porch, studied each photograph, each payment record, each damning piece of proof. The silence stretched like a bowstring. "Mr. Bradley," Carson finally said, "you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. You work for me. I work for the territory, and the territory has laws." Carson's words broke the spell. Half of Cornelius's men holstered their weapons. The other half looked to their employer for orders. "Anyone who stands with me gets double pay," Cornelius announced. "Anyone who—" A warning wrapped in concern. "I can take care of myself." "I know you can. But some things are bigger than any one person can handle." Kane's eyes found hers. Something passed between them. Understanding. Maybe regret. "You sure you haven't seen anyone?" "I'm sure." He nodded slowly, mounted his horse. "Well, if you do see anyone, best thing would be to send word immediately. Some folks are offering rewards for information." "What kind of rewards?" "The kind that keep people alive." Kane turned his horse toward town, stopped after a few yards. "Oh, and Mercy? Might be good to visit your sister in Tucson for a few days. Take a little trip, clear your head." "I don't have a sister in Tucson. Maybe you should get one." He rode away without looking back. Thomas had heard every word from inside the cabin. When Mercy returned, his face was pale. "He knows. He knows. But he didn't arrest you?" "Not yet." Mercy began gathering the evidence, stuffing papers back into the leather satchel, moving with purpose. "What are you doing?" "Getting ready. To run." "Where?" "Anywhere but here." Thomas struggled to his feet. The wound pulled tight but held. "I can ride. You can barely stand." "Standing's not the same as riding." Outside, the wind picked up. Desert wind, the kind that scoured everything clean. Mercy saddled her horse, a sturdy mare named Grace. Good for long distances, steady in a crisis. As she tightened the cinch, riders appeared on the eastern horizon. Too many to count, moving fast. "They're not waiting for dawn," Thomas said. The riders came like a storm front. 60, 70, maybe more, badges glinting. weapons ready, a small army wearing the face of law. At their head rode a man who could only be Cornelius Bradley, tall in the saddle, authority in every line of his body. The kind of man who'd built empires on other people's graves. "There's nowhere to run," Thomas said. Mercy watched the approaching riders. Calculated distances, options, chances. Maybe running's not the answer. What else is there? She thought of the photographs, all those faces, all those families who'd never gotten the chance to run. We make a stand. Against 70 men. Against one man with 69 followers. The distinction mattered. Followers could be turned, could be reasoned with, could be shown the truth. The riders spread out as they approached, surrounding the cabin, cutting off escape routes, professional, thorough, deadly. Cornelius Bradley called out from beyond rifle range. "Thomas Bradley, I know you're in there. Come out and let's settle this like civilized men." His voice carried the authority of wealth, of power, of a man accustomed to being obeyed. Thomas moved toward the door. Mercy caught his arm. "He'll kill you the moment you step outside. He might kill us both if I don't. He's planning to kill us both anyway." Thomas looked at her, saw the certainty in her eyes, the knowledge born of bitter experience. "Then we're already dead." "No, we're still breathing, still fighting, still dangerous." Outside, Cornelius called again. "Thomas, don't make this harder than necessary. You've caused enough trouble already." Thomas looked at the evidence scattered across Mercy's table. All those deaths, all those families, all those children. He's right about one thing. I have caused trouble. The right kind of trouble. The kind that gets people killed. The kind that saves people from being killed. Mercy moved to the window, studied the surrounding riders. Some looked like lawmen, others looked like hired guns. The difference showed in how they sat their horses. "Your father brought an army. He believes in overwhelming force. What do you believe in?" Thomas was quiet for a long moment. "I believe some things are worth dying for." "Then we're in agreement." Outside, Cornelius's patience was wearing thin. "Thomas, you have 1 minute to come out. After that, we come in." Mercy checked her rifle. Full magazine. Extra ammunition. On the shelf. Enough for a fight. Not enough for a war. "There's something else," she said. Thomas looked at her. "This morning before Kane arrived, I saw smoke signals on the northern ridge. Apache? Could be. Could be they've been watching this place, watching us. Why would they do that? Because they know who you are, know what you represent." Thomas understood. They want the evidence too. They want justice, same as us. Three-way fight. Or three-way alliance. The idea hung between them. Dangerous, unprecedented. Maybe their only chance. Outside, Cornelius began counting down. 30 seconds, Thomas." Mercy made her decision. She opened the door and stepped into the afternoon light. Rifle in her hands, not aimed, but ready. "Your son's not going anywhere," she called out. Cornelius studied her from horseback, seeing her clearly for the first time. A black woman standing alone against an army. "Ma'am, this is family business. Step aside and you won't be. 18 months, maybe longer." Thomas's voice dropped to a whisper. "Every time the railroad needs new land, people disappear. Always blamed on Apache raids. Always the same story. And you documented it. I tried to save them. Tried to warn people. But Pa's reach goes everywhere. Sheriff's office, land commissioners, federal marshals." Mercy thought of her husband. Killed in what everyone called an Apache attack 2 years ago. Found dead on land the railroad wanted for a depot. "Your father killed my husband." Thomas met her eyes. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The words meant nothing. Changed nothing. But something in how he said them made her believe he meant it. "Why turn against your own blood?" "Because some things matter more than blood." Thomas struggled to focus. Those people in the photographs, they had names, families, dreams. And now you're running from the same men. Pa found out about the evidence, put a bounty on my head, dead or alive, but preferably dead. Mercy walked to her window. Still no riders on the horizon. Federal authorities know about this? The honest ones are too far away. The local ones are bought and paid for. Thomas's breathing grew labored. Sheriff Kane's been on Pa's payroll for years. Kane. The man who'd always treated her fairly. Who'd promised to look into her husband's death. You have proof of that, too? Thomas pointed to the satchel with a trembling finger. Receipts, payment records, everything. Mercy felt the weight of it settling on her shoulders. The evidence in her cabin could expose the biggest conspiracy in territorial history. Could also get her killed. What were you planning to do with all this? Ride to Santa Fe. Find someone clean enough to listen. Thomas coughed, specks of blood on his lips. Guess I won't make it that far. You're not dying on my table. Might not have a choice. His eyes found hers again. But you could finish this. You could get justice for all those people. I could also get myself murdered. Yes. The honesty cut through everything else. Mercy looked at the photographs again. All those faces, all those families who'd never see justice unless someone acted. In the distance, dust began to rise. The dust cloud dissolved into wind. False alarm. Mercy lowered the rifle but kept it close. Thomas slept fitfully through the first night. Fever dreams made him call out names. From the photographs, Sarah, little Moses, Elena. The dead spoke through his delirium. By morning, his breathing had steadied. The wound showed no signs of infection. Mercy's hands remembered the old skills. 15 years of battlefield nursing had taught her to read bodies like maps. She'd learned medicine during the war. Following, the armies. Patching men just so they could die another day. The work had left scars on her soul that never quite healed. But it had also taught her to save lives when others could only take them. Thomas woke to find her cataloging his evidence at the kitchen table. Each photograph sorted by date. Each document cross-referenced with payment records. The pattern emerged like a snake from tall grass. You're organizing it, he said. Information without structure is just noise. She'd arranged everything chronologically. The timeline told the story. Railroad surveys followed by property disputes followed, by mysterious deaths followed by land transfers. Clean and simple. 43 families, Mercy said without looking up. In 18 months. That we know of. The number sat heavy in the morning air. 43 families, maybe 200 souls, men, women, children. All erased for the sake of progress. Thomas struggled to sit up. My father calls it nation building. What do you call it? Murder. The word hung between them. Simple. True. Unforgivable. Mercy held up a photograph of a young mother with twin babies. This was taken 3 days after they died. Someone arranged the bodies. Pa likes documentation. Says history belongs to those who keep records. Your handwriting on the back? Thomas nodded. I thought if I could document everything, prove the scope of it, someone would have to listen. Or you'd end up dead. That too. She studied his face, saw the weight he carried, the guilt that fever couldn't burn away. Why didn't you just leave? Take your inheritance and go somewhere else? Tried that. Spent 2 years in San Francisco pretending I didn't know where the money came from. Thomas touched the bandage on his shoulder. Turns out you can't run from your own shadow. So you came back. Came back to gather evidence. Thought I could expose him without getting close enough to get caught. Mercy arranged the payment, records in neat stacks, bribes to officials, salaries for hired guns, blood money dressed up as business expenses. Sheriff Kane's been taking money for 3 years. Kane's one of the good ones compared to some. He promised to investigate my husband's death. He probably did investigate. Doesn't get nothing. Money still talked. 20 men stayed loyal. Enough for a fight. But Chief Nalnish had seen enough. He raised his war lance. Apache warriors appeared from every direction. Not attacking, surrounding, containing. "No more blood today," the chief announced, "but justice will be served." Thomas stepped forward. Between his father and the warriors, between past and future. "Pa, it's over. You lost. I built this territory. I brought civilization to this wilderness. You brought death to this wilderness. Everything I did was for progress, for the future." Whose future? The question hung in the desert air. Simple, devastating, unanswerable. Cornelius looked at his son, at the evidence, at the Apache warriors, at the crumbling empire he'd built on graves. "You've destroyed everything. I've revealed everything." "Same thing." Thomas nodded. "Sometimes they are." Marshal Carson stepped forward with iron shackles. The sound of metal clicking shut echoed across the desert. "Cornelius Bradley, you're charged with 43 counts of murder, conspiracy, bribery of federal officials, and fraud." The railroad empire died with the sound of those shackles closing. 2 months later, Mercy worked her garden in the morning light. The trial had ended. Justice served. The railroad project canceled. Stolen lands returned to their rightful owners. Thomas split wood behind the cabin. His shoulder had healed clean. His conscience, too, mostly. The work felt good after a lifetime of soft living. They'd built something together. Not love, exactly, not yet, but partnership, respect, the beginning of trust between two wounded souls. The Apache had returned to their traditional lands. Chief Nalnish visited sometimes, sharing meals and stories. Allies forged in crisis had become friends in peace. Sheriff Kane had been stripped of his badge but avoided prison. His cooperation during the trial had counted for something. He worked now as a ranch hand, honest labor for honest pay. The territory was healing. Slowly, like everything worthwhile. Mercy straightened from her gardening, pressed her hand to her stomach. The nausea had been getting worse lately. A different kind of sickness than she'd known before. Thomas noticed. Her pause. Set down his axe. "You feeling poorly again?" She met his eyes. Saw concern there. Care. Something deeper growing day by day. Not poorly exactly. Understanding dawned in his face. Joy mixed with terror. Hope tangled with fear. "Are you sure?" "Pretty sure." Thomas sat down hard on the woodpile, stared at the horizon where Apache smoke signals still danced in the morning light. "What are we going to do?" "Same thing we've been doing, living, working, building something decent. A child, Mercy. Our child. In this territory. With everything that means." She looked at their small homestead, at the garden growing green, at the man who'd chosen justice over blood money, at the future taking shape despite everything against it. Yes, everything that means. Thomas reached for her hand, calloused now from honest work, steady from honest purpose. "Are you afraid?" Mercy watched the smoke signals dance against the endless sky, messages of hope between survivors, between people who'd learned to build tomorrow from the ashes of yesterday. Every day. But fear never stopped anything worth doing. And that is all to the story, for now. Please let me know where you are tuning in from. Perhaps we will create a story there. Consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel, and if you enjoy our content, click this video on your screen. I promise you it's worth watching. See you tomorrow.